The night was still. Peaceful quiet filled the empty twists and turns of the streets, the inhabitants of Mecca subdued by sleep. The Prophet had also been fast asleep, recuperating after a night of solemn prayer until Jibreel made his presence known. The air shifted with a sense of urgency as the angel instructed him to wake up. The coolness of the evening surrounded the Kaaba. Shadows cast by the pale moon dappled upon the stone ground, undisturbed except for the slight movement of the Prophet who stood by the Hijr. From this semicircular wall near the Kaaba, he was close to the spot where his grandfather Abdul Muttalib used to rest, a time that seemed so far away. Jibreel placed his hand on Muhammad's back as a heavenly creature came forward, hooves gently thudding against the stone slab below. "This is Buraq." Jibraeel's voice was reassuring. The animal was unlike any creature known to man. It was medium in size, smaller than a mule, but bigger than a donkey. Its pearly white coat shimmered in the silvery moonlight. Just as the Prophet was about to mount the creature, it pulled away, shying away from him. "Oh, of all people, will you behave like this with Muhammad?" remarked Jibreel. The creature remained withdrawn until Jibreel revealed to it that Muhammad was the leader of all the prophets and the best of creation. "Just know that no one more honorable than he has ridden you." The creature, at this, Buraq began to sweat intensely. The majestic creature inched forward and lowered itself into a humble kneel. The Prophet mounted Buraq, and in the company of Jibreel, they set forth the North Star on a journey known as the Isra. Buraq took off at a miraculous speed, each stride launching it as far as the eye could see. With a rush of cool air, distant lands rolled by in a mesmerizing display. They sped past Yathrib and beyond Khaybar. With each leap, the pain and difficulty from the year of sadness became more distant as they speared through the night towards Jerusalem, the same direction the Prophet and his followers turned to when praying. When they reached the blessed lands, the Prophet noticed the mounts tied outside the sacred mosque of worship. Al-Aqsa was a landmark of religious significance. The structure stood solidly, its ancient architecture a testament to its rich history. The Prophet tied Buraq to a post before stepping inside, where he found all the previous prophets waiting for him, the chamber appearing spacious. These were his brothers, part of the prophetic family, all connected by the same purpose, chosen to convey the same message. They gestured him forward with nods of respect and admiration. He soon found himself front and center, the men quickly moving to form straight rows behind him. With Abraham, Moses, and Jesus standing over his shoulder, Prophet Muhammad sensed that this moment represented a turning point. Leading this congregation in the blessed space served as a sign. The orphan from the desert of Arabia had become the leader of all the prophets humanity had ever seen. His role extended beyond that of tribes, race, and in that moment, even time, for it became clearer than ever as he led them in prayer that he was the seal, the final prophet. The responsibility of conveying the final message rested on his shoulders, and the honor of leading the noble prophets in prayer was his. Prophet Muhammad raised his hands to lead them in all prayer. Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater. After this extraordinary experience, he followed Jibreel. The archangel placed 3 vessels in front of the Prophet, one filled with wine, the other with milk, and the third with honey. The Prophet took a moment to look at them. He had never drunk wine before, even though the Meccans loved it. The delicately creamy milk contrasted against the syrupy amber gleam of the honey. From these options, he chose the second vessel. He brought it to his mouth and drank from it. You chose milk due to the purity of your nature, said Jibreel. Muhammad began to smile as the archangel continued. Hence, you have received guidance and your followers have too. Jibreel further explained, had you chosen the wine, your followers would have been astray. The Prophet felt a deep sense of relief and gratitude enter his heart. His nation would follow the middle way, the path that steered away from extremism. An enchanting ladder was then brought forward. The Prophet stared at it in amazement. The stars twinkled alongside the astonishing object that pierced the sky. It spiraled upwards almost unendingly. Jibreel gestured for the Prophet to proceed forward, reassuring him that this was all for him and that he would be by his side throughout the journey. Muhammad took the first step, and onwards they both went, before the realm of this world, ascending into the heavens. This ascending journey would be known as the Mi'rāj. As the Prophet looked back at Jibreel, he saw the archangel transform into his true form, 600 wings now stretching open. His unfurling wings seemed to fill the horizons as the world faded behind them. Each time his feathers rustled, the Prophet saw precious stones as rubies and pearls falling from them. Unbeknownst to Prophet Muhammad, he would soon have the opportunity to reunite with the prophets he had prayed with in Jerusalem, though no longer in the forms they had been enduring their earthly life. He would find them coming to greet him in the celestial forms, a sight that would amaze him. But before that, he had to pass through the gates of the first heaven. When they arrived at the gates, Jibreel called out to the gatekeeper and requested it to be opened. The gatekeeper asked, "Who is it?" The archangel answered, "It is Jibreel." "Who accompanies you?" "Muhammad." "Has he been called?" asked the gatekeeper, to which Jibreel replied, "The affirmative." Immediately the gates of the nearest heaven opened wide. "He's welcome, and what a wonderful visitor he is," the gatekeeper expressed in joy. In the first heaven, Prophet Adam, the father of mankind, stepped forward to welcome them. He greeted the Prophet warmly. "Peace be upon you." "And upon you be peace," Muhammad replied. The final prophet standing face to face with the first human being, the first prophet. Adam declared that indeed Muhammad was the prophet of Allah. The prophet then noticed two groups of people. The group on the right, believers, brought a smile on Adam's face. But when looking to the people on the left, Adam wept. Prophet Muhammad realized that the second group was the disbelievers. Countless angels flocked to greet Muhammad as he passed through the first heaven. The experience was joyful and warm. Among them was Malik, the warden of hell who never smiles. Malik showed the Prophet a view of hell and the terrible plight of those languishing therein. He saw people behaving as man-eating beasts, devouring human corpses and fitting punishment for backbiting. The wild look of desperation in their eyes was permanent, etched in his memory. It was a fate no one wished for. They reached the second heaven, where Jibreel once again asked for the gate to be opened. Beyond the gates were the two cousins, prophets John, Yahya, and Jesus, Isa. Greetings of peace were exchanged before they acknowledged Muhammad's prophethood, just as Adam had. The Prophet left for the third heaven, where he met Joseph, whose beauty struck him, for he was more radiant than the full moon. Like the others, Joseph also acknowledged Muhammad as Allah's final prophet. Once at the fourth heaven, Enoch, who was Idris, was there to receive him. Their dialogue ended with the past prophet expressing his faith in Muhammad as the last messenger. The same occurred at the fifth heaven, where Harun came forward with heartfelt salutations. Each interaction, although brief, strengthened Muhammad's resolve in his role. The flame of determination coaxed brighter. They moved on. The gates of the sixth heaven opened to reveal Moses, the prophet who had the honor of hearing Allah speak, the one who stood up and opposed the worst of all tyrants, Pharaoh. Moses offered his greetings before testifying that Muhammad was indeed a prophet. As Muhammad to proceed to the next heaven, Moses began to weep. The prophet paused in his step, then gently asked, "What makes you cry?" "The reason for my tears is that someone much younger was sent as a prophet after me, and yet his followers will enter Paris in greater numbers than mine," Moses said. Up until that moment, Moses had the largest following of believers. His words rang in the prophet's mind as he reunited with Jibreel and journeyed upward. Upon reaching the seventh level of the heavens, the prophet saw Ibrahim leaning against Bayt al-Mamur, the heavenly equivalent of the Kaaba on earth. It was amazing to find that Prophet Abraham, who had built the Kaaba many centuries ago, was resting near its equivalent in the heavens. Jibreel explained that a group of 70,000 different angels visited every day to circuit around this holy structure. And upon finishing, a new group of 70,000 angels would arrive. The prophet stepped forward to exchange greetings with his forefather, who then also testified that Muhammad was the prophet of Allah. The events of the night were but a glimpse at the Almighty's limitless power. Prophet Muhammad was in awe. The lightning-fast Buraq, ascending the heavens and seeing glimpses of the afterlife, meeting the prophets, the concept of time and space no longer a barrier. Impossible was possible for Allah. All these were signs shown to the prophet for a reason. His heart beat faster in anticipation of what awaited beyond Sidrat al-Muntaha, a majestic tree where Jibreel came to a halt. The archangel announced that he was unable to go any further. In fact, no creature had moved beyond this point. The beautiful lote tree with leaves the size of elephant ears and fruits the size of pitchers represented the end of all knowledge. What lay beyond was known only to the Creator, and Muhammad had the sole privilege to step into that realm. Prophet Muhammad progressed beyond the tree until he met with Allah. Although there was now nothing between him and the Lord of all the worlds, the intensity of the divine light made it impossible for him to gaze upon the most merciful. Allah addressed him and gifted him 50 daily prayers that would allow his followers to stay connected to their Creator throughout the day and night. Although some form of prayer already existed, Salah was now officially obligatory as a fixed daily number. The Prophet immediately recognized the immense value of these prescribed prayers compared to all other commandments. Salah was not conveyed to him while on the earth. Rather, he was elevated to the heavens to receive it. It was the only order that Allah directly conveyed. With this valuable commandment to share with his followers, he reunited with Jibreel and they began their descent. On his way back, Moses stopped him. "What did Allah command you?" "50 prayers a day for my nation," he replied. Your followers will not be able to manage that," Moses said. Through his own experience with the children of Israel, he knew that such an instruction would be a crushing burden for most people. "Go back to your Lord and ask him to lessen it for you." Taking Moses' advice, the Prophet returned to the Almighty. Out of his mercy, Allah decreased the numbers of obligatory prayers. When the Prophet passed by, Moses stopped him again. "What happened?" "It was reduced to 40. Moses advised the Prophet to ask for it to be reduced further. And so the Prophet returned. Moses stopped once more, only to find out that the prayers had been lessened to 30. He dipped his head slightly and then advised the Prophet to go back. 30 became 20 and 20 became 10. This exchange went on, the Prophet going back and forth until the original 50 became 5 daily prayers. When Moses heard the amount, he advised the Prophet to request to lighten the prayers once again. Speaking from his experience, he said, the children of Israel were asked to do less, but were still unable to do so. But the Prophet could not bear the thought of going back. "I feel too shy before my Lord to go back to him." Then a voice announced, I've established my obligation and lightened it for my servants. He who prays these 5 prayers ordered as if he had prayed 50. What I decree cannot be changed. The sense of finality was evident. Although only 5 prayers were obliged, the reward would be that of 50 on top of that. Performing prayers was a way for believers to draw near to the Creator, to nourish their souls and strengthen their spirituality. The Prophet recognized this as a gift of those who truly believe. The time had arrived for the Prophet to return home. He descended the heavens with Jibreel. His spirits lifted and his mind focused on the mission of fulfilling and conveying this significant commandment. Riding Buraq, he returned to Mecca before dawn with newfound conviction and the sense of a new beginning. Soon enough, the freshly risen sun cast a soft golden glow across the desert landscape. As the early morning activity began to pick up, the Prophet wasted no time. He set out and began to speak to some people, sharing the story of his miraculous journey. The news travelled like wildfire. It soon reached Abu Jahl and his comrades. "This is patently ridiculous," they cried, some of them in grave danger of laughing themselves to death. "Every child knows that a caravan takes a month to go to Syria and a month to return, and Muhammad claims he made the journey to Jerusalem and back in one night," the Quraysh scoffed. His opponents, filled with poisonous glee, called everyone to come to listen to the story for themselves. They laughed, clapped and howled. As always, they were eager to mock, grasping this opportunity with greedy hands. Those who had been to Jerusalem asked specific questions, trying to catch him out. But the Prophet patiently responded with detailed answers that only someone who had visited Jerusalem would know. Still, they found it all ludicrous, unmoved by the fact that Muhammad was, in fact, as sincere as he was right. While some remained behind to slyly quiz the Prophet further, the rest ran to where Abu Bakr was. They sought to convey this tale to the Prophet's dearest friend in hopes of rocking his faith and looking forward to relishing his expression as it happened. "Abu Bakr, oh Abu Bakr," they called before letting the seemingly absurd stories spill forth. "So there, what do you have to say about Muhammad now?" There was barely a pause before Abu Bakr answered, "If he had said that, then it must be the truth." Abu Jahl's right eye began twitching. The certainty in Abu Bakr's response had caught them off all guard. "And what is so strange about that anyway?" Abu Bakr continued, finding no issue with the miraculous journey they had tried to discredit. Their hopes plummeted with each word his calm and steady voice imparted. "In fact, I believe in something even more bewildering, that an angel descends on him bearing news from the heavens." Abu Bakr's faith in Allah and his messenger proved unshakable. From that day onward, he earned the title of Siddiq, someone willing to stand with the truth no matter the consequences. Wordlessly, they retreated, mouths twisted in disappointment, unaware that the man they left in their wake would one day become their leader, and indeed the leader of the whole Arabia in only a matter of years. The Prophet's Isra is mentioned in the Quran in the following verse.
سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير.
After losing wife and uncle and the boycott of his clan, after Ta'if where they stoned him came a gift from Ar-Rahman. As he lay asleep beside the noble Kaaba in the night, he was woken by the angel and then taken up in flight. Riding on Buraq, he made the journey that is called Isra, to the city of Jerusalem, to Masjid al-Aqsa. There he led the prophets in a prayer and chose milk over wine, then ascended to the heavens for a tryst with the divine. Raised beyond the seven skies, so many wondrous sights he saw, till he crossed the furthest low tree for his discourse with Allah. Sent back on that very night, he brought a gift for his ummah. On the next day, Muslims stood with him to pray